You're listening to The Bird Bath, presented by The Fountain Report. I'm your host, Ryan Leach. Welcome back to The Bird Bath. Each week, we scrape the surface of the news you need to know, so let's get into it. Kicking us off this week is Rover's acquisition of Cat in a Flat. Now, unexpected to see that Rover is expanding their European footprint, and it makes even more sense when you think that they're expanding it into the feline side of things. Cats have been an extremely fast-growing market in the pet care and veterinary care space, and even more so over in Europe. So the acquisition will expand Rover's European footprint into Switzerland, Belgium, Austria, and Ireland, along with the 10 other countries that they're already in Europe. Cat in a Flat, if you're not familiar with them, I'm not a cat and I'm not European, so I haven't come across them yet, but they have over 50,000 care providers and they've provided over 2 million visits across 9 countries. The plan is that Cat in a Flat will continue to operate as its own brand and entity while allowing Rover to expand both their European presence as well as their presence into cat care. This whole thing shouldn't be a surprise, though, if you've been keeping a pulse at all on what's going on in the boarding and grooming spaces. Lots and lots of activity and a lot of growth is happening as people that are a lot of times younger are getting pets and keeping those pets in their kids, which is a story that we'll hit on in a minute. But younger people also look to travel and they want to be able to board their cats and their dogs and their animals when they're off and away. And so another group, Canine Resorts, had a great announcement this last week, announcing that they're expanding their footprint with their largest franchisee opening 11 new locations in Los Angeles. The franchisee Luxury Pet Hotel Investments is their largest franchisee, and they've raised $30 million to bring a total of 30 locations across the U.S. They're putting 8 in Chicago, 11 in L.A., and 11 across Virginia and D.C. So of a growing company, they're a pretty large franchisee. Now, if you haven't heard of Canine Resorts, they're huge. They're getting bigger and bigger every single day. They've got about 170 luxury pet care franchises across 28 states in various stages of development. And the overall industry, like I was citing earlier, is expected to continue growing. The global pet boarding market in 2021 was valued at a little under $20 billion. And the group Allied Market Research projects it to hit $35.8 billion by 2031. So a lot of growth in the boarding and grooming space. If you're not participating in that, it's definitely something to look into expanding your footprint within your clinic or within your business offerings. If that growth didn't surprise you, it's probably because you've seen Harris Poll's new research study where people are choosing pets over people. So a new study by the Harris Polls reveals a big trend in American pet ownership, marking the rise of what everyone calls the pet economy. Pet owners are increasingly treating their pets as integral family members, which we talked about in a Mintel study a couple months ago. And this new study by Harris came out, and they're highlighting in this that pet owners are committing substantial financial resources, and they're even willing to go into pet debt, is the term that they hit there. On average, American pet owners spend $4,366 annually on their pets. Gen Z are the largest spenders, spending about $6,100 annually, millennials at about $5,100, Gen X at $38,000, and boomers at $2,400 annually. Other big highlights that Harris put out was in their executive summary, and they said that 82% of pet owners say that their pet is/are like their own children, and that 72% talk to other people about their pets as if they were their own child. The number that's a little startling as we look at the rising cost of pet care is that 30% of Gen Z report going into pet debt. is a way to be able to continue taking care of their animals. We're seeing, again, a younger and younger pet owner population with lower disposable income, but the desire to be able to treat these animals as if they're family members that they are. And so it's something that's been on the wall, and the writing's been on the wall for a long time, but it's always great when we can find a respected source to be able to bring us this data. I'll make sure that I link the report in the bio as well as have it on our Substack. Another company working to make sure that pet owners get the most information and the best information is LifeLearn. LifeLearn Animal Health and Allied DVM, which is owned by AmerisourceBergen MWI, which was rebranded to another name as well, but more importantly, Allied DVM, have joined forces to deliver their AI pet owner education. So LifeLearn has taken their product that many of you know them for, which is their client ed tools, and they've now augmented it with an AI. And what they're taking is the data from Allied DVM's Pet Page app to allow it to utilize the client ed with AI to be able to target specific discharge instructions and client education notes. This is one of the first companies that's come out with a really robust API to expand the growth of an AI-driven knowledge as a service, which is what LifeLearn is continuing to adapt their business into. They're not the only ones, though, that are going to be looking to do this or are doing this. About almost a year ago now, Instinct made an acquisition of VetMedics, which owns Plums as well as Clinician's Brief. A lot of the conversation has been around the utilization of that information within Plums to allow a stronger AI decision-making tool to be able to be pushed across the entire industry. And another company, though, that's talking about it is Merck and the Merck Manual, something that a lot of the AI bots and tools are scraping and looking at. And Merck has been talking about whether or not they just want to open that up and allow it to be fully accessible to provide the highest level of care, or if they're going to continue to stand strong behind the copyrights that Merck Manual has. It's becoming more and more difficult for client education companies to be able to stand out as generative AI makes it harder and harder to be able to curtail and keep a hold on your own personal data within the space. Additionally, there's a large amount of discharge notes that can be written exclusively with AI, but the data source is where the questions are coming in. So something that we should continue to keep our eye on, but awesome to see LifeLearn and Allied DVM jumping up to bring AI-driven pet owner education to the market so quickly. If you thought that waiting for election results last week was crazy, well, you probably missed the 43 monkeys that escaped a research facility in South Carolina. Alpha Genesis, which is a research facility that's outside of a city in South Carolina, have been trying to track down the 43 escaped primates for 5 days. As of Monday, 28 of the 43 monkeys have been recovered. Veterinarians have examined them and said all the monkeys are currently in good health, and there's still 18 monkeys that are in the woods just behind the lab. Locals are reporting that the monkeys are actually staying really close to the facility and talking and cooing at the other monkeys inside of the lab. Now, the escape of some primates, though, is not something new for Alpha Genesis. 12 escapes involving 109 monkeys have been documented at the facility in the last decade, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture has cited the facility for multiple violations of the Federal Animal Welfare Act. If you want to make sure that these monkeys don't have to go back, there was actually a supporter of PETA that offered $250,000 in a sanctuary for any of the escaped monkeys to go live on. So I am thinking of taking them up on that offer for myself. I wouldn't mind a sanctuary and $250,000, but that's just me. Now, other stories that I said I would bring us to was actually a fun event that I'm going to be going at. When you're listening to this, I will probably be across the pond in London, England, sipping on some tea and eating some bangers and mash, or whatever they call it over there. And I am really looking forward to exploring the London Vet Show. This is going to be my first time going to a conference outside of the US, and it's going to be really neat to be able to see how the European markets address the veterinary space, especially with the high amount of a lot of the things we've been talking about: consolidation, the increase of feline care in the area, the depth of pet insurance in the European market and the UK market specifically. So it's going to be really interesting. I also have the really cool opportunity to be able to do a talk on Friday in the Modern Practice Theater. So it's going to be a talk that I'm doing in partnership with Covet as well as Fear Free. The talk is going to be called A Fear-Free Future, which I did not say 3 times fast before choosing it, but a fear-free future, optimizing veterinary care through the use of AI. And it's going to be kind of silly. It's designed to be a fun talk. So if you're going to be there Friday afternoon, make sure to come and see it. It's at 2:30 in the Modern Practice Theater. It's going to be talking a little bit about what happens with Fear Free, how Fear Free is looking to grow even stronger presence in the European market, as well as how AI tools like Covet can allow you to tackle anything that comes your way. I've already packed in my suitcase a pogo stick, jump ropes, hula hoops, and a lot of other fun and silly things for people to try to tackle distractions while practicing medicine. So it's going to be a fun one. Make sure to come and see me there. If you're also going to be in the London area, be sure to say hi. I'm always looking forward to meeting different people from all over the world. If you want to learn more, though, about what's going on in our daily life, make sure to subscribe to our Substack. And if you want to hear even more of my insights and takes on what's happening in the veterinary industry, check out this most recent episode of the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. I had a great opportunity to sit down with Sean and Ivan and talk about what's going on in veterinary consolidation and the big trends that we should expect to see for 2025. So be sure to check all of those things out. And for more on these and other stories, again, join us by subscribing to our Substack and the Fountain Report. There's a link in the bio, and don't miss out on any episodes by subscribing and rating the show. For the Bird Bath, I'm Ryan Leach. See you next week.